Hey everybody, welcome on back to the Rubbin' His Racing podcast. It's brought to you by our presenting sponsor, and that's Cabo Wabo. I have two delicious bottles of Cabo Wabo in front of me right now. I believe I have the Anejo, and I also have the Blanco. I use this for tequila. I use this to sip on. Cabo Wabo is unquestionably the Mexican tequila with the undeniably American attitude. It isn't just tequila. It's damn good, thick-cut, 100% Blue Weber agave tequila. Cabo Wabo is the official tequila partner of Nascar. At a bold splash to race day, watching with Cabo Wabo tequila. And if you're headed to the Daytona 500 on February 18th, come celebrate race day with Cabo Wabo. We want to remind you that you leave the driving to the professionals this Daytona 500. Please enjoy the thick-cut, bold taste of Cabo Wabo tequila responsibly. And grab you and your buds and a bottle of Cabo Wabo tequila for the boldest race day experience ever. You got to be 21 years or over to enjoy this. Please handle it responsibly. We're going to be with the Cabo Wabo people on Sunday morning. Spider and I are going to be with the Cabo Wabo people. We love them, have a lot of fun. You're going to have a lot of fun watching the race with the help of Cabo Wabo tequila. All right, with that, let's get into it. Welcome on back. It's our first real episode. We had the one in and around the Clash and in and around the Netflix special, but all that bullshit is out of the way. We're on to Daytona week, and I couldn't be more excited. I have Sean Quigley. Everyone calls him Quigs. He's in Chicago. We have Manoli Stavrakis, probably the most filthy Greek guy you've ever met in your life. He's on the ones and twos here. And then my partner in crime, Spider, probably one of the more handsome guys, just as Liv. What was her name?
Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get in there a little bit.
It's not over.
Every once in a while, I'll check Twitter, and he's doing something, and Liv Morgan tagging her.
To be continued.
Yeah. So it's Spider. Spider is in the building. So I had mentioned Daytona 500. We have a posse going down this weekend. Biggest group that we've ever taken to a race, undoubtedly. So Spider, who we got going? Who we got going this weekend?
So it's you and I, and then obviously a social person, producer, but we got Joey and Pat coming from Out and About podcast. We've got KFC and Fights coming from KFC Radio, and we also have Frankie Borelli, who's coming. Formerly went to a NASCAR race with him, and now he's back. I think one of his family friends or his father-in-law, maybe someone, is a NASCAR fan, and Frankie's going to take them and entertain them for the Great American Race, which I love. That's really the name of the game. So,
yeah, it's going to be Manoli's first race, so he's going to be along with us. I know he's very excited. Liam, our old producer, is going to be down there also shooting for stool streams. Devlin, who's caught some great stuff for us. Like, I don't know, you guys know better than me and better than everyone listening. Being a social media guy isn't fucking easy.
No.
You have to be always on time. And for some reason, Devlin Cody is also one of those guys.
Yeah. They
get those moments, like the Logano moment, the Denny moment, a bunch of things, like even as guys are going by, just recognizing Spider and I. So we got a pretty, Pabs is going from KFC, and I just spoke with Jackie. Jackie's heading out too.
Nice. Damn, we do have a big crew.
It's a huge crew.
We got a big goddamn crew. So, so be on the lookout. You can't miss us. We're beacons, and we'll be all over Daytona this weekend. We're hoping for some good weather. One of the things that we, like, if you watch Hollywood award shows, one of the things that they do is like that in memoriam section about people who had passed away the year before. We don't often do that here, but we have a nice off season. We haven't recorded since November, so coming around to February, we had a nice off season. There's only one person, as we're learning and starting to become bigger NASCAR fans, there's one person I am going to mention, sort of like an in memoriam that we missed, because it's CALE Yarborough. CALE Yarborough died on New Year's Eve. He was 84 years old. I love learning about legends, and CALE's one of them. He got a football scholarship to Clemson, decided to pursue a career in stock racing instead, still played 4 years of semi-pro football, was offered a tryout with the Redskins. The guy was a stud. He's one of only two NASCAR drivers in history with 3 consecutive championships in 76, 77, and 78. He won the Daytona 500 4 times. So we're going to be talking about Daytona during this podcast. We could talk about Jeff Gordon winning 3 times. We could talk about Richard Petty winning 7 times, like the King has won the most. But CALE is number 2. He's got 4 Daytona 500 wins. The 1979 Daytona 500 in particular, and we spoke about the final lap. and the drama with the Allison brothers versus CALE Yarborough was something that was iconic and kind of put NASCAR on the map as far as TV broadcasting. Richard Petty won the race, but Yarborough got into a fist fight with Bobby and Donnie Allison in the infield after he and Donnie Allison thumped into each other several times while racing the backstretch. It was the first NASCAR race to be televised in its entirety to a national audience. It's groundbreaking. And the fist fight, not the race itself, caused more people to tune into races on Sundays to see what these good old boys might do next. So CALE Yarborough was instrumental in how we watch NASCAR on TV now. So terrible comb-over. Please Google CALE Yarborough's comb-over. It's all-time bad, but a hell of a driver, and he seemed like a hell of a guy. Rest in power, CALE Yarborough. Other than that, we have no other headlines except a friend of the show, Cole Custer, who we love, a little bit intense on the kickball field. I don't want to get into that again, but Cole Custer and his wife had announced that they're expecting their first child. They did it with one of those birth announcements where they cut the cake and then inside the cake was blue, so they're having a little baby boy. Him and his wife, Carrie, they're expecting the kid in August. So Cole, 23 Xfinity champ, and now he's about to have a little liability. Congratulations to them. Alrighty, boys, how do we feel? How do we feel about the season starting up? Spider, you chomping at the bit? Are you chomping at the bit to start this fucking thing?
Yeah, I'm pumped. I don't mean to be critical of the Clash, but to me, that is just not, a good way to kind of get fired up for the season. But Daytona 500, it gets you right into the mix, you're thrown right into the fire. My personal favorite race of the year, and it's the first one. So I'm excited. That would be an understatement to say. We got a lot of stuff booked this week. As you mentioned, I mentioned rather the people that are going to be joining us. We're doing some fun stuff with Cabo Wabo. And of course, we actually get to watch the racing itself. I'm pumped. I'm hoping for some drama and some good storylines this season. Ideal in the Daytona 500. I want a first-time winner.
Okay, so that's all right. So I'm gonna circle back to that. Don't let me not talk about that. First-time winner versus everything. Quiggs, how do you feel about it going into the season? How do you feel about NASCAR? Are we going to get you to a race this year?
Yeah, I'll go to a race eventually.
Okay.
On his own.
I like the Coke 600 as my Memorial Day plans, but we'll see. I'll get out to one. Maybe towards right before football season starts, I'll get to one. But yeah, I'm very excited for it to start. I just hate talking about like off-season moves and stuff. I just want to talk about racing.
Hell yeah.
I know you're saying that, and this maybe makes you angry going into this, but there were so many moves in the offseason. We never spoke about them individually, right? Because we didn't record anything in the offseason. But when you look down the list, Harvick gone, Josh Berry in the 4. Busch Light gone from Stuart Haas and is now with Trackside and Ross Chastain. Eric Almirola kind of gone, right? He's going to do all those Xfinity races. And Noah Gragson. I thought that was probably the most impactful thing, at least for us, stepping in for him. Smithfield gone from NASCAR altogether, no longer powered by Bacon on the 10 car. Justin Haley going from Kaulig to Rick Ware. And then Daniel Hemrick will take over the 31 at Kaulig. There's going to be a lot of new faces this year. I almost want to put out a chart. John Hunter Nemechek is stepping into Gragson's seat for Legacy Motor Club in the 42, wheeling Toyotas for the first time. A.J. Allmendinger will have multiple Cup starts, but he's going to run a full-time Xfinity series. Hocevar is going to be replacing Ty Dillon in the number 77 for Spire. Zane Smith will move up to the Cup after signing a multi-year deal with Trackhouse, but he'll be with Spire Motorsports, who purchased the Live Fast charter. And then Jimmy Johnson is back again. We knew what happened with Jimmy, the tragic stuff that happened with Jimmy last year. I won't get back into it, but obviously that cut his season plans extremely short. But his 24 schedule is a good one. Jimmy Johnson, we're going to get to see him at Daytona. We're going to get to see him in Texas. We're going to get to see him in Kansas. We're going to get to see him in Dover. We're going to get to see him in Charlotte, Indianapolis, Las Vegas, and Phoenix. So Jimmy Johnson's going to be a lot of our headlines this year, and I'm happy about it. What is the biggest move? What are you guys going to see this year, and it's just not going to seem right until it does seem right? Out of all those things that I just mentioned, what do you think is the most impactful one from a headline perspective?
I'll go quick. I just Gragson a little bit. Just the unknowing of if he was even going to get a shot. So him getting back on a team, I think, was a little bit not shocking to me, but I was very like looking forward to seeing if he was going to get a shot or not. So Gregson would be mine.
I'll build off what Quig said, and I'll say Storehouse Racing. I mean, obviously we knew that Harvick was headed towards retirement, but to see 2 of their 4 cars completely new, unexpected drivers. Like if you told me it would be Noah Gragson and who am I forgetting? Excuse me, brain fart. Sorry, I'm going off a free throw stream. We had like 24-hour. No, Josh Berry. Excuse me. So if you told me that it would be at like the beginning of last season, that next year it would be Josh Berry and Noah Gragson in Storehouse Racing, I would not believe that.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm interested to see how they run because, like you said.
Yeah, so, and I think that one of the things that we're going to have, because we've only been, this is our second season doing the show, is we're going to have a real Rookie of the Year campaign, right? They're adding Kaz Grala to that list, but otherwise you do have Josh Berry, Zane Smith, and Carson Hocevar all competing for Rookie of the Year. We only had Ty and then Noah, whose season was cut short for, obviously for what had happened to Noah Gragson. So we didn't have that Rookie of the Year type campaign last year, but this one's going to be real, right? Like Josh Berry, the oldest Rookie of the Year possibly ever. I don't know if that's true or not, but he's old as fuck. Hocevar, Zane Smith, and Kaz Grala. Anybody that stands out to you guys is who you think would be the potential Rookie of the Year before we even start out?
I kind of like Zane Smith. I'm intrigued by the fact that he's going to be in Trackhouse equipment. Formerly, we've seen him kind of run with back marker Ford teams on the Cup Series, whether it be whatever slim opportunity he got to run those races. But now seeing him in a car prepared by Trackhouse, at least that's how I understand it, should be exciting. And I'm really looking forward to watching that all season.
Can I ask you, Spider? So this whole relationship between Spire and Trackhouse. So Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar are essentially teammates, kind of?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're both racing under the Spire flag. Do you think there's an argument that we had said at the end of last season or midway through last season when Legacy had announced they were jumping from Chevy to Toyota, that Chevy would no longer really support them as they would other people that they know are going to be part of the Chevy family for a while? You think Spire has that same thing, like throw most of their support behind Hocevar, the guy who could be the future of the franchise, versus Zane Smith, who seems to just be on loan from Trackhouse? Does that give Hocevar like a little bit of a leg up from an equipment standpoint?
It did look like Spire, LaJoy, his team made massive gains last season from where they started to kind of where they were at. So I am interested to see how those cars run, but if, like I said, if it is what I think it is and it's Trackhouse preparing the car, I think I would rather ride with Zane.
But yeah, I think it's almost like a child and stepchild thing, like where you're gonna love your actual child more than your stepchild, even though you have to pretend like you love them all the same.
Right. Give him a little something extra bigger for Christmas.
Yeah.
And then nobody mentions Josh Berry as being the front runner, but it's
his to lose, I feel like.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
He had a pretty. How much did he race last year? Almost a half season.
Yeah, he had quite a few races underneath his belt from last season.
He's got the most experience. The other 2 guys are coming from trucks mainly. I think it's his to lose, but I also think he's going to lose it. I'm a Zane Smith guy. All right, Spider.
I think I was mistaken. I think Zane Smith, it sounds like, will run in a Spire car despite being at Trackhouse.
Right. It's a weird situation, Spider. It's not that you're mistaken. I don't understand it exactly either. It's sort of like, they bought the charter from BJ, I believe, right? And then they kind of run with it. So I don't know what Christmas party Zane Smith goes to. Spire at Trackhouses. That's going to be the telltale sign. But we'll get him on. We'll talk to him about it. Oh, by the way, we're going to have Bubba Wallace on in a little bit, just to shoot the shit and see exactly who he blew to become the star of the Netflix fucking show, because, I don't know, he's got naked pictures of somebody somewhere. So then you go over to Xfinity. Spider and I will be hosting a party before the Xfinity race, like a Barstool little MVP tailgate. You can get tickets. It'll be all over our social media. We'll be doing that on Saturday, February 17th. Come on by, meet us, meet KFC and the guys, meet Patty and the guys. The whole deal. Marty Smith is going to be there with us, which is kind of cool. Like, they're like, oh, by the way, yeah, isn't that kind of cool?
I meant to say that last week. I thought he was kind of a star of the documentary.
He did.
Yeah, he did a good
I
job.
love Marty Smith. I think he's great.
But I still have to give Spider the edge. The guy who stole my heart is fucking Booty Barker. That's why I'm looking forward.
Legend.
Oh man, that guy's the best. So, but Xfinity also is going to have a real deal Rookie of the Year type thing again. It's going to have names like Shane Van Gisbergen, Jesse Love, who jumped up and is jumping into Creed's spot, and then our old friend Haley Deegan. So there's going to be like a real Rookie of the Year type race there. Let's just look at it from, from 1,000 feet. If you're going to pick out two rookies, we'll pick out Haley and SVG. Who do you guys think will do better? Who do you guys would think will have a better rookie campaign in the Xfinity League? SVG or Haley Deegan?
SVG by a mile. By a mile. And nothing against Deegan. I just think, like, people were talking about SVG last year when he was doing his NASCAR race, saying that he was the best driver on the track, just in general. I think he's going to be huge in Xfinity. I think he's going to win a lot.
Do you think he'll only win you think he can win on ovals?
Yeah. I think
regularly?
Yeah, it might take him a little while.
All right.
I think he'll get it.
All right, well, I'll play devil's advocate. I'm really excited to see Haley Deegan move up. One of our best interviews last season was when Haley came on and kind of broke down the finances and the struggle that goes into truck racing and kind of the experience she was facing. And she talked about, her desire to get to the next level, and now here it is. So I'm really excited to watch Haley this year on the Xfinity series. And I mean, it's hard for me to pick one, right? Because there's so many. And we have a list here, like Sammy Smith going to Junior Motorsports, or Josh Williams, or Eric Almirola coming back. I think the Xfinity series is going to have a lot to watch for. And I think the talent pool, I wouldn't say maybe better, but more exciting than I can remember in a long time.
Your guy Fasta Pasta, Anthony Alfredo, Our Motorsports for the full season. That's kind of a cool thing.
Yep.
He's always been kind of a friend of our thing. Sheldon Creed, no longer in the number 2 for Jesse Love. I love the fact that Josh Williams takes over the number 11 at CALE for Xfinity. So we're gonna sit down and watch Xfinity races where we're seeing AJ Allmendinger battle it out with Eric Almirola and for the win. I don't know. I think it's gonna be one of those seasons where, again, like last year, we've gone on certain weeks where Xfinity has brought together a better product than the Cup Series. I expect that to probably continue into 2024. A bunch of jumbling around with the tracks, nothing too big, but right after we leave Daytona, we're going to go right to Atlanta, kind of super speedway-esque type racing, which means that if you are a small owner, this could get fucking expensive quick in the beginning of the season. I do like the fact that with rain kind of impending, these haulers, if they do have to stay till Monday or something like that, they only have to get back to Charlotte and then to Atlanta, as opposed to going all the way across the country to go to LA. The All-Star race is going to be back in North Wilkesboro on May 19th. Bristol, there's no more Bristol dirt. It'll host 2 concrete races in this season. Brickyard goes from the IMS road course back to the 2.5-mile oval for the first time since June of 2020, which is awesome. And the only thing that I see that I don't appreciate with the track scheduling is that Charlotte's fall playoff race will continue at the Roval instead of shifting to the Oval. I just don't like the Roval that much. So with that, guys, I want to know what you guys think about this season. And one of the things that we're going to be doing this season, which is different from last season, is we're going to be rolling with DraftKings. DraftKings, we're excited to announce it. It's been all over the internet, obviously, but we're excited to announce our partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings will be our one-stop shop for all things betting. This week, new customers who deposit only $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 on any sport. What's a no-sweat bet? It's just like getting an offensive board. You miss your first shot, you get another chance to score with a bonus bet back. You can also follow what all of your favorite Barstool personalities are betting on by joining the Barstool Betting Group on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So you got to download that app. You got to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use the code RUBBIN, RUBBIN, and new customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code RUBBIN. The crown is yours. So we're excited. I was just looking over the lines for Daytona and DraftKings, and it seemed like they got some extremely competitive ones. So it's going to be a great season, and DraftKings is going to be at the helm. All right, what's the predictions for this year, guys? What do you guys see happening in 2024? Anything.
I
Throw them out.
I wrote a blog with like 4 or 5 ideas of predictions I had for this season, so I'm happy to recap them now.
I would love to hear them.
The first one that I had was that, actually I'll start in opposite order. Just going off the Xfinity we touched on, I said that the Xfinity series would arguably be as exciting, or if not more exciting, which a lot of NASCAR fans have been saying for the last couple of years. But this is the year, as I just got done saying with the talent pool, I think Xfinity is going to be a banger this year. I digress. My main one, I think a Hendrick Motorsport driver will lift the Bill France trophy at the end of the year. I'm looking at it from the fact that Kyle Larson, William Byron, both were in the championship for this year. And they kind of choked in the championship. I understand it's hard to win, but I'm saying 2 of the best drivers, they got another chance here. And also 2 of the drivers that didn't make the playoffs in Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott missed significant time with injury. Both of those guys are going to come back hungry. I'm hoping for a great Chase Elliott success this year. It might be a little slow to get there, but I'm really bullish on what Hendrick can do here this year, especially we've seen Fords kind of steal the show the last couple of years. So
over or under 1.5 wins, Chase Elliott?
Over. I think it's set at 2.5 right now, and that is a little concerning.
I know,
seeing where their heads at in Vegas, but 1.5, I'm taking the over all day.
Yeah, I think 1.5's easy, but 2.5 you don't take. You don't take Chase Elliott.
Yeah, I would take it at
1.5.
I think you could say he gets 2. I have to see how he bounces back this year first, which you can't do with betting like that. But I would be too scared to take 3.
And you won't take 1.5. How about over under 1.5 for Ty Gibbs wins?
Yes.
Well, you said 1.5. I believe it's
1.5.
1.5, like 0.5 on DraftKings right now, which I love. 1.5. I don't know. I like Ty to win this year. 2 might be a little greedy, but I'm hammering the over.
That was actually going to be one of my predictions. Is he gets at least 2 wins.
Oh well, there you go.
Really?
Very high on Ty this year.
Very high on Ty Gibbs.
Yeah.
So then the matchup and we'll talk about it when we talk about Daytona. I think Joey is minus 140 and Ty is plus 120 on the head-to-head matchup because they had the smoke at the Clash. So you pounding Ty Gibbs? It probably doesn't come out the way I wanted it to. Are you all over Ty Gibbs in the head-to-head matchup this week on DraftKings?
No, just because one, I'm not really a head-to-head guy, and 2, I don't know if this race will end. Like anybody can finish anywhere a little bit. I might take Ty to win it, but I don't know if I'm gonna take him over Joey.
Spider, what was some of the other ones you have?
I kind of like what Quigg said about Ty Gibbs, and really that leads me to my point that I'm just kind of coming to now. I'm a little bit concerned about Christopher Bell and the attention he's going to be getting in the Joe Gibbs garage this year, and I think Quiggs just brought a good reason. All that attention and resources, and maybe this may be all shit that I sit here and spew each week that doesn't actually exist in real life, but I think that
we're all just spewing shit.
He's gonna have more love from. I mean, Joe Gibbs is gonna want to see his grandson win, right? Christopher Bell was in the championship for, and not to say everyone but Ryan Blaney choked in that race, but he was the first one out, and he was, never a threat in that race. So, not saying he blew his shot. I'm saying that moving forward, I think Ty Gibbs will be a top priority, especially when you have the other 2, Truex and Denny are veteran drivers. Who knows? You need their success now if you're going to have them employed, in my opinion.
I agree. What else you have? You said you had 4.
Go ahead, Quiggs.
I think Ty Gibbs is going to have a huge year. Kind of a random one. I think Denny will win most popular driver this year. I think he'll take it from Chase. I think the Netflix series will do a lot. I think he's going to have a really good year. I think he gets that. And another one, I think Legacy is going to have just as bad a year this year as they did last year. I don't think they're going to make a big jump. I know they have the new car. I think they're not going to be a very competitive team again.
Yeah, I disagree with Quiggs on that too. I think last year they were kind of tough, struggled, and now they regrouped. I mean, Jimmy obviously had a lot of shit going on. The team had a lot of stuff going on with people leaving and joining and, changing things out. And now it seems like they're kind of regrouping. They have the offseason. Jimmy announced his super involved schedule for this year, which I love to see. And I don't know. I think he wouldn't have made all the moves he did unless he believed that this team could be competitive. I stand by that take. It might take him a little while. It might not be overnight now that they're in Toyotas, but that's a storyline I'm looking forward this season, is to see how Legacy is.
You know, I was all over him last season just because he was constantly outperforming. I think Eric Jones gets a win this year. He hangs around, puts himself in positions to actually finish races, and I become more and more of an Eric Jones fan as time goes on. So I guess I have to say I disagree with Quiggs. And I know new equipment, it will take some time to settle in, but I just think that he's a better driver than I gave him credit for before last season.
Me and Spider were actually talking about this yesterday in the office, and he was kind of on Eric Jones' side, but I just remember so many races last year. It was a lot of Eric Jones finishing outside of the top 20, and the ones that he finished kind of around the 10, 13 spot, so many of those were just laps he picked up on like the final like 2-3 laps. It was like, I thought his numbers, he struggled regardless, but even the ones where he did good, I thought were a little inflated. Like, I don't remember a single point last year when Eric Jones was a threat to finish in the top 5, top 10.
You think I'm the only person who's taken the over on 1/2 wins for Eric Jones?
I'm not taking it.
You're not. Spider, you're not taking it either.
I might sprinkle that. Don't add that to my card, but I don't hate the play.
I think that Brad Kay gets a win as an owner driver this year. I'm actually going to I put a little bit of dough on him for Daytona, so I'm looking for a little something. I'm going opposite of Quiggs. I don't like SVG. 2 road courses maybe in the Xfinity schedule. So I think outside of that, this guy will be humbled a little bit. You know, makes the playoffs with a road course win, but then gets bounced before the round of 8. And that's it. I'm also, even with all the stuff that's happening with Xfinity, I'm tempted to grab a future on Allgaier for Xfinity champ. I think that's going to be my guy too. So that's all that I'm seeing from this season. Anything else you guys want to talk about as far as predictions?
I got one more, and I think that it's Ross Chastain takes a massive, massive step forward. I don't know if I should say step forward.
I just didn't know what word was going to come there. I didn't know if you're going to say massive step back or step forward.
No. Yeah. I think he had a breakout 2022 season, which we all saw, and he kind of came out of nowhere and was pissing people off and getting buzzworthy. And then 2023, it seemed like he was kind of a neutered version of himself, or not the Ross that I've come to love in that 2022 season. I think he's going to be taking no prisoners this season. And I think he's going to be back on his bullshit, and I can't wait for it. Ideally, NASCAR has to change the rule book after he finds loopholes in each racetrack. And on that same token, I'm extremely interested to see what happens with Daniel Suarez, whose win total is 0.5. You guys think he gets a win this season? Also, if Ross is as successful or better, as I'm saying, what does that mean for Daniel Suarez? Hopefully he can keep up, or does his seat get hot?
And so we're still saying that Bowman has a hot seat, right? I mean, that's nothing that's...
I don't think so. I think people on the messaging boards and on Twitter, myself included, love to pretend like Alex Bowman's seat's getting hot, but I think the reality of the situation is that Hendrick is pretty loyal to their guys. He has sponsorship. Ally seems to like him.
He has an identical season to last year, do you think he's done?
Honestly, no. And I'm hoping he is. Give me someone exciting in the fucking Hendrick in the 48. Give me Ross Chastain in that car. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be an unreal thing.
So yeah, if he does the same season, I think he should be fired. I don't think he will.
I think he might. But I also think he'll have a better season than last year.
8 or 9 years in Cup, I think he has. He has 6 wins. I think 4 of them came all in 21. He had like that breakout year in 21. So you sprinkle in 2 other wins outside of that year. I don't know. It just seems like a hot seat for me. All right, so here's somebody who doesn't have a hot seat, and we're going to talk to Bubba Wallace. So we're about to go 3 wide with Bubba Wallace.
Hey, yo, pause.
All right, before we go 3 wide with Bubba Wallace, I want to mention one of our sponsors, because Rubbin' Is Racing is sponsored by BetterHelp. A common misconception about relationships is that they have to be easy in order to be right, but sometimes the best ones happen when both people put in the work to make them great. Therapy can be a place to work through the challenges you face in all of your relationships, whether it's friends, work, your significant other, or anyone. Geez, after 9/11, Annie and I had gone and done a little bit of therapy, and I believe it's one of the reasons why we're celebrating our 25th anniversary this May. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, it's flexible, and can be suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. What do you need to do? You need to become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. So visit betterhelp.com/racing to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/racing, and you'll get 10% off your first month. You owe it to yourself. Try BetterHelp today. So as promised, we have Bubba Wallace on the show. We've never had Bubba Wallace on the show. I always took it personally, but it just seemed like it was a scheduling thing according to his people. Bubba,
I take it personal as well.
Yeah, welcome aboard. How you doing, my man?
I'm good now that I'm finally on the show. So now the show has got its credentials, so we're good.
I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to give me the answer. Then I'm immediately going to tell you it's the wrong answer and tell you what the right answer is. If Bubba Wallace wasn't a professional race car driver and he was going to be a professional athlete in some other sport, what would he be?
Ooh, some other sport?
Mm-hmm. I think you have a natural athleticism to you, so perhaps you'd be a professional athlete in some other sport. What would it be?
I played basketball before I started racing, so I'm going to go basketball.
I would tell you you're wrong. Spider and I did a celebrity kickball tournament the other last year for Corey LaJoy.
Yeah.
You are a fucking psychopath of a kickball catcher. He was the only guy. I think you were more physically exerted than anybody else on the. I don't even know what the idea was. You ran out from the catcher's box every fucking play. It was one of the most aggressive things I've ever seen. I think you guys won too, right? Did you win that tournament?
No, they rigged it. They called it early. Yeah, we were one run away, and they called it.
Will we see you again there next year too?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I played catcher the first year, and I just stood there, right? Well, then the team that beat us was doing what I was doing now. And so I learned it. So it's all about learning. No matter where you're at, you're learning to be better. And so if they try to bunt it, you're right there. It falls into the hands. So boom.
Just extremely aggressive.
Maybe a future in catching, maybe obviously current NASCAR driver. But recently I saw a tweet from you that said you wanted to start a podcast. Who would you host the podcast with? And I guess how would it be different than existing NASCAR podcasts? And when you're done driving, can we see you kind of dabble in media based on this tweet? It sounds like you might have some interest in that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have a big passion for media and production stuff, just not media days or production days, So, I've always had an idea of starting a podcast, but then a lot of people have podcasts. So I feel like, I'm not even a podcast listener. I'll be honest with you. I don't listen to podcasts, so y'all can feel some type of way. I just don't listen to them. I'm more just give me music and I feel at peace. But I feel like, one, you said who would host it. I don't want to pay anybody, so I would try to do it on my own and sell my own sponsorship, so that nobody else has to get a cut. That's a lot of work, but I feel like you take your time and you'd be able to do that. I don't know what it would kind of be about. We've tried to think of ideas. I'm big into the bourbon game, so maybe some bourbon podcast. I don't want to talk about racing. That's the obvious. Maybe you give a quick recap. Hey, finished 5th or won the Daytona 500. Let's go try some bourbons or whatnot. I'm not sure, but just an insight on what it's like with Bubba Wallace. So, but bigger picture, I do want to start my own production company one day and start doing a lot of these things that I'm a part of. I feel like oftentimes it's like we could have done this to condense time or done this to create a better product. And so we've had talks for a while of starting up my own production company.
Here's an idea. I'm kind of sick of this gig, so I will drop Spider in a fucking heartbeat. You get the backing, and we do it together, and it's called 23andMe. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. It's not bad,
either.
But it depends on how much you want to get paid, because I'm not going to be any close to what you're getting paid right now.
No, you'd actually be surprised. They pay me fucking peanuts here. Let's talk about the big production that you're in. So with the Netflix special, a lot of Bubba Wallace. I loved it. And it fit the story. Like we were talking about just the 23 playoffs. You'd gotten into the 23. You were the one of the guys that was on the bubble for the most part. So it was a nail biter for you throughout the playoffs. So it made sense that you were front and center for most of it. I'm going to go to Spider on this because we were trying to figure out who became the silent star of that series. Because some people who aren't traditionally, in front of the camera, all of a sudden really shone. I thought Denny's dad was fucking fascinating. I loved hearing that guy talk. I could sit down and used to drink bourbon with that guy till the sun goes down. Spider, who is your guy, though, that I thought knocked both our socks off? And now I want to speak to him more than I want to speak to you, Bubba. Who was it, Spider?
I think it's far and away Booty Barker. I mean, he had in 100%. His appearances, he just nailed it. He had some great one-liners. And, I mean, that to me was what the Netflix series nailed, was just kind of like highlighting people that are very much in the sport but don't get the shine. And Booty Barker was my personal favorite star that kind of emerged from the show.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. Booty, that's who he is. That's what we get to have with us each and every weekend, each and every day at the shop. And it makes it a lot of fun. That's why him and I vibe really well. We feed off each other. And honestly, he got most of the time on there because he picked up what I wouldn't do. So he was giving me some grief behind the camera for that. But I thought he actually did really well with that. And it was cool to see. And I feel like, I told our Toyota drivers, we had a meeting about this because obviously they were shooting some of our debrief stuff, right? And I said, hey, I did my Netflix show a couple of years ago and it was really well. I have no problem being myself, right? I can tell you how I feel in a heartbeat. But a lot of these guys, I wouldn't call them like double personalities, but it kind of is like that. Not in a negative way, double personalities. There's some two-faced people for sure. But
wait, toothpaste people? Did you just call them toothpaste people?
Two-faced.
Oh, I thought it said toothpaste people. I thought I didn't know a term because I'm like, it's people who just brush their teeth when they're about to talk to somebody. I was like, wow, that's a fucking good one. Go ahead. I apologize.
That's actually pretty good.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
But I told them, hey, be yourself. Like, it's okay if you throw out an F-bomb here and there. Like, if you're frustrated, like, let people see that because that's what the viewers want. They want to see your authentic self. They want you to be raw. They want you to be real. And so I know it was a select group of people that were in the show, but I feel like everybody was that way. Like even like Logano, right? He doesn't have a problem telling you how he feels, but I feel like in those scenarios, like he doesn't really tend to show himself. But I thought that did really well. Byron the same way. Like I thought it was really well executed from all avenues. So the best line was when Gianna told Ryan to be Ryan effing Blaney. So that's just been the running thing now. I'm like, hey, man, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to be Ryan effing Blaney.
Yeah.
That was a great line. And you mentioned, obviously, Booty Barker's, impact at the shop. But one of the things that the Netflix series showed was kind of the construction of the new 2311 headquarters. Yep. What is the status of that? And I guess what will be different about that team shop from other places that you've called home in the past?
Yeah, Airspeed is what we're calling it. That's the name of the shop. So can't say shop anymore. So it got to be Airspeed.
Airspeed.
It's a fine. It's a fine if I don't say it. So Airspeed.
Wow.
Hashtag Airspeed. It's nice. Money is nice to have. You can do a lot of nice things with that. But they did a really good job. And we sit here and think the industry hasn't had a new race shop built in 20 years. And so it's just state-of-the-art stuff now. So really, really proud of the work that went into it. Proud to be a part of it. We are fully up and running, but we're still tweaking some things here and there. So I would say middle of the season, it'll be full green light. Not open to the public yet, but not sure when that will be. But yeah, it's beautiful. And now that we're getting our season started, we're rolling through it.
If you ever want to do a Cribs video, we're happy to come through and check it out.
Yeah, I think Bubba Wallace Productions already has that slotted. So
I figured.
He's given us absolutely no fucking inroads, Spider. We both just asked him for stuff, and we've been turned down. That's why he's never been on the show before, apparently. It's a tough nut to crack. Let's talk about this season. Spider and I were in Kansas when you had won. Like, we were there for that live, and then we were at the casino right afterwards. and it was awesome. Can you tell people, we're sponsored by DraftKings and Barcelona, and so we're trying to get people kind of invested in certain drivers and trying to convince them that certain drivers have certain tracks where they do better. Where do you see in this? Yeah, there we are. Where do you see in this season the Bubba Wallace tracks, especially with the way that they've tweaked the schedule to a certain degree? So we got Daytona right into Atlanta. What are the Bubba Wallace strong tracks this season for you?
Yeah, honestly, with this new body, our numbers show really, really strong. So I'm excited for the new Toyota camp. Going to be strong against our Toyota teammates. Man, we really diversified our resume throughout the playoffs. I mean, every track we kind of didn't really show a weakness, at least showing up for speed, right? Road course Roval was really good for us. Phoenix was a struggle place for us. I told Booty when we made it in the playoffs, I said, hey, round 2 is gonna, kick our ass if we happen to make it through. And it's because of Texas. I never really ran well at Texas, and we had a career day there. I fumbled the bag, but that's behind us. And so I think all the tracks that I looked at as struggle points, like we're solid. The ones I would say the ones that are still out there as a question mark. I don't know. Richmond, we showed some pace. Too sure, man. I feel like.
How you feeling about Iowa?
I was going to be new. Chicago. Chicago's one I need to work on. That one's tough. But Iowa's going to be fun. So I haven't raced there since 2014. No, 2016. 2016. A lot of fun. So that'll be interesting to see how that place races.
I know you said if you were to do a podcast, you wouldn't want to talk about racing. So I'm going to ask you a non-racing question. Obviously, McDonald's, iconic sponsor of yours and some of the best paint schemes we see on any given week. What's your go-to McDonald's order?
Go-to McDonald's order is 10-piece nugget with barbecue sauce, large fry, and a Dr. Pepper.
Love it.
That's brand loyal.
That might be lunch today as soon as we're off this call.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry now thinking about it.
So it's Wednesday. It's media day down in Daytona. You're there. You're running the gauntlet today with a bunch of people who are like us. Can you talk to us about Daytona? We're coming down on Friday. Spider and I and a huge posse from Barstool. We got KFC Radio with Fights and Kevin. We have Out and About. We have a bunch of production people. I think we have like 13 people rolling thick. You won't be able to miss us. Can you tell us what the feeling is like now in Daytona, what the people are concerned? Listen, they think about rain every Daytona, but what's the boots on the ground look at Daytona right now?
Yeah, right now the garage just opened up almost an hour ago now. So teams are rolling through, getting the cars ready for inspection, just getting everything going. The Clash was kind of our day back at school, but almost like, I don't know, I guess orientation day. Now this is our first day of actually sitting down and going to work. And, it's a super important night, although qualifying is almost irrelevant because you have the duels tomorrow, but it's just part of the history and what we do. So being able to say you qualified on the pole for the Daytona 500 is something that will always go down in the history books. So we've got a lot of work to do. But I feel like the vibe is really well. And I'm usually a 8 a.m. media day person. I switched it up this year. So I'm trying to produce some different vibes, and we finished second twice, and we got to change it up. So we're excited. By the time you get here Friday, it'll be live and thriving.
All right. Well, next time you see me, I don't want you to forget my name. It's large and it's Spider, because it was embarrassing in front of my son.
Small and tiny.
Yeah, absolutely. Bubba Wallace right now is plus 1,800 on DraftKings. I can say that because it's a coinciding sponsor, and I think that's pretty good value. So give him a look. Bubba, we wish you nothing but good luck this weekend and throughout the season. Congratulations on a great last season, and we'll see you at the track.
Okay, sounds good,
thanks,
guys.
Bubba.
See you soon.
Man.
All right, thanks, guys. Y'all be good.
All right, so thank you to Bubba Wallace. That was the first time we've had Bubba on the show. Hope to have him back a bunch. The guy is great, even though he's such a camera hog. Let's get to Daytona. So Daytona is this weekend. Barstool Sports Tailgate in the Midway at Daytona International Speedway is taking place on Saturday, not on Sunday, February 17th. The Barstool Tailgate will feature Spider and myself. And if that's not enough, it's going to feature KFC and Fights. And if that's not enough, it's also going to feature Joey and Pat from Out and About. And there's a shitload of stuff going on in and around NASCAR, in and around Daytona. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he's a pretty big deal. He's going to be the official Grand Marshal. There's going to be a pre-race concert featuring Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide, Pitbull, De La. Everybody is going to be behind the wheel. We're going to see, Chase Elliott, is he back? Ryan Blaney, does he have it to do the second in a row? Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain, and Bubba Wallace, who we just spoke to. Make sure you watch NASCAR Full Speed on Netflix so you can watch your favorite drivers before they take on the Daytona 500. And it's going to be 500 miles, 200 laps on a 2.5-mile long track. It's the most iconic race in motorsports, and it starts at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on February 18th, and you can catch all the action on Fox. So that iconic race, February 18th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. And then check out the Rubbin' Is Racing socials, and you can find out how you can buy tickets to the VIP tailgate that we're hosting on Saturday. Who do we like, guys? Who do we like going into the Daytona 500? It's the 66th running of the great race. I just told you before, Richard Petty's won it 7 times. CALE has won it 4 times. Gordon has won it 3 times. We only have, I think, 7 drivers in the field that have won this race before. Are we going to see a new guy win? Are we going to see an old guy win? Who do you guys like as far as manufacturers? Who do you like as drivers? Spider, take us out on this.
All right, so love that we're with DraftKings now. One of the best parts is that this whole playoff football, and I know football season, the F word, I said it on this show. If there's a silver lining, it's that DraftKings was just offering no sweat or free bonus bets or $10 bets for just participating in playoff football betting. So that's been great. I accumulated 3 of those, and I've consulted with Quiggs on a couple guys that I think are worth a flyer, a little sprinkle. So I got AJ Allmendinger plus 8,000, a bonus bet to win 800. I have Corey LaJoie, a bonus bet to pay 500 to win the race. I have Harrison Burton, bonus bet to win 800.
Okay.
Plus 8,000 on Harrison Burton on a free bet to win 800. So those are the 3 guys I've sprinkled so far. I also think anyone listening to this, I implore you to get on DraftKings now and get involved on their bonuses, because it sounds like this is something that they may be offering each day for the rest of the week.
Well, I don't want to say they are, but they have stuff all the time. If you just look at the top, it's profit boosts and stuff like that.
So my advice would be to get involved until Saturday or Sunday, and then before I get on my flight to Florida, I'm going to hammer a couple more long shots. One of the bonuses today was a 50% bonus profit. So theoretically, if I took like Riley Herbst, for example, he a 10 to win 1,200. So check him out. The 50% profit boost is definitely worth a look. Chastain 10 to win like 390, I think. So even guys like him or Byron, they're still probably worth a little flyer. But
I'm having fun with it. I'm having fun with this app. I think it's very user friendly. They offer a lot of stuff that we haven't seen before, so I think it's going to be good. But who's your lock? Not your lock, but who do you think? Who's your favorite for this race?
Yeah, so those are my Daytona flyers. You got to essential, especially at a race like this. People are going to crash. You need to have contingency plans. Those are those guys I look to add to a few. The main dogs I'm riding with this race are Brad Kay and Kyle Busch, 2 guys who have not won a Daytona 500, 2 veteran drivers. They're on new teams. Kyle found success super early last year with his new team. Brad turned it on late, and both of his cars were hot. Brad has been a factor at Daytona 500, seemingly like the last 4 finishes. I feel like he's been there or wrecked out right before there. So he's kind of like a Ryan Blaney in that sense, where he feels like he's always hanging around late. So for that reason, I'm on Brad Kay and Kyle. Give me a first-time winner, and if not one of them, give me Harrison Burton, fucking AJ Allmendinger, or Corey LaJoie in that 7 Chili's car is going to be hot.
Yep.
Can I just build on that? Because you'd mentioned Brad Kay, you'd mentioned Kyle Busch. So we're talking about veterans who haven't won it, right? So a first-time winner, but not necessarily one of the young guns. Do you mind me throwing Martin in there too? I know I didn't bet Martin all last year, and as a result, I got a corner panel for it, so I was very happy with that. But those fucking days are gone. I lost a lot of money not betting on that son of a bitch last year. I think I might be back. And if you look on DraftKings right now, Martin Truex is coming second. I mean, the guy races well at Daytona. He just doesn't have a win there. He's plus 2,200. I think that's worth a look. I'm also riding Brad K. I think I'm going to say that a lot this year. By the way, a lot of sexual innuendo with me. I just said we're going 3 deep with Bubba Watson. I said that he doesn't have a very hot seat. And now I said I'm going to be riding Martin Truex. Please, if you can edit some of this, don't. I don't mind the sexual innuendo. I say so much about these guys' wives and girlfriends already. So I think I'm also going to throw at plus 2,200. I just kind of like that. I'm going to throw Martin on the pile there, or at least like a top 3. He's still paying plus 600. I think it's pretty good value, to be quite honest with you. And Ross Chastain is plus 2,500, plus 700 for a top 3 also. A lot of interesting stuff to hit just on that DraftKings site. So I'm going to throw Martin on, and then I had mentioned you guys with the team props. The only thing that I see any kind of value there is Toyota's plus 275. So if you're grabbing Martin and you're grabbing Denny and you're grabbing a couple other guys, where Ford is plus 150, Chevy is plus 150, Toyota is plus 275, and it has more cars this year than it did last year with the legacy move. So I'm going to jump on Toyota too. So Brad K, Martin Truex, I'm going to grab Toyota, and then the driver props, I'm going to plow Ty Gibbs again.
This guy,
I'm going to plow Ty Gibbs over Joey Logano, and it's paying plus 110. Any shot Ricky Stenhouse repeats? Does anybody put something in, just for that story?
I think repeating is probably one of the hardest things to do. As much as I say that, Denny did it handily. I don't know. There's so many factors in Daytona. Getting one win is like a life dream to begin with, let alone doing it 2 years in a row. So I love Ricky Stenhouse. I think he's a great plate track racer. And we all saw how he did last year. But yeah, I'm a little skeptical.
I'm not betting on him.
I would rather take Ross Chastain, who's won at Talladega and, equally has super long odds for this race, at least comparatively to how he normally is. For a guy that's won on a plate track.
If you're going to bet a race this year, bet these super speedways. For people who are just starting in NASCAR with us, bet these super speedways. You get anyone can win. Yeah. Right? I mean, so Austin Cindric, Michael McDowell, Ricky Stenhouse, anybody could win these goddamn things. And when they do, they pay big. So it's one of those ones where if you're going to bet any kind of race, try to get involved on these because it's going to – I'm expecting it to be relatively a clean race until that last 50 miles or so, and then all hell's going to break loose. So whoever's a smart driver and a little bit of luck involved probably takes it. Quiggs, who are you looking at this weekend?
It's going to be a little boring. Well, I have a lot of crossover between you guys. Me and Spider probably shouldn't have talked yesterday about picks because we kind of talked each other into the same stuff. So I'll go over the ones that we have similar first. I'm taking LaJoy to win. That's my long shot winner. I'm taking Harrison Burton top 5. And he is plus 850 for top 5. I feel like he's been in the past couple of super speedway races in the last 50 laps has made his way to the top 5 a little bit. So I could see him hopefully holding on.
How about this, Quiggs? Last season, Harrison Burton only led 3 total races, Daytona twice and Talladega. So all 3 plate tracks. If there's a guy that can do it, I think you're right. Plus 8,000 or plus 7,000, whatever he is now.
I'd have to look at. I remember him being actually up there. You can be up there on pit cycle and stuff. But there was a point where he was legitimately in the race late. So I like that. I am taking Martin Truex to win, but I will be cashing out if the race is on Sunday. I want to get it in early with these odds, but if they're racing on Sunday like normal, I don't really want them. But I want to have good odds for Monday Martin.
Will you actually cash out on Sunday?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the cash out's always a little bit less than the full amount, but I think if the race gets moved to Monday, the odds are gonna jump down more than. I think it makes sense to take it before and cash out rather than wait till it gets moved.
Jimmy Johnson?
What's a smart bet what's the smart bet with Harrison Burton? 850 plus 850 for the top 5, plus 2,000 for the top 3, or plus 7,000 for the win?
Well, they're all probably dumb.
Yeah.
But I took him top 5, which I hate doing for super speedways. I think for the most part, you should bet somebody to win because I don't know. The odds are just so big. Anyone can win. Taking a top 5. I don't know. I just don't like taking top 5s, but I did it. So, because I don't see him actually winning it all, but maybe backing his way into it. And then I have 2 picks that are less of a long shot, but I like a lot. I'm taking Byron plus 1,600 and Larson plus 1,400. I just think those are 2 guys that if you can get odds like that, you take them. But you could say that about a lot of guys. But I really
so
like
crazy
them.
Because you could talk yourself into just about any driver.
Yes, and there's no good or bad picks.
Yeah.
Like, and there's no real, you don't really have an edge on anything. Like, there's some tracks where, like, I feel like can look at race reference, see see what's happening, and be like, oh, this guy has a real shot. It doesn't work for super speedways.
I'm wondering, nobody here has mentioned Chase Elliott. We're staying away. Listen, the winner of this race is going to change the whole complexion of the season, the 24 season. And if the winner of this race happens to be Chase Elliott, who is not fitting into frame right here, but I'm sitting right by Chase Elliott's dick for all intents and purposes. I mean, that blows up the world, right? That changes just about everything. So, I mean, in the back of my mind, I can't help but still be rooting for our guy Chase.
Yeah.
That's it. Unless you guys have anything else to do, I would urge you guys to hit our social to figure out where we're going to be on Friday night. I think we're at that hangar party. Spider, we got another.
Yep.
And then I think we might be with the Monster guys too. I know we got invited to that thing with our guy JD, right?
JD, shout out JD Davis, great dude.
Yeah, great guy. Saturday we'll be hosting the show on the Midway. As we had mentioned before, Marty Smith will be there, and Spider and I will be on the mics, along with a bunch of different guests. And then Sunday, the Great Race, tune in. We'll be there, and you guys can catch all the action on Fox. Boys, it's good to be back. Can't wait to be down in semi-sunny Florida with all of you. And next week, you're going to get to hear the reaction from a guy who's never been to a race from our swarthy Greek producer, Manoli. So that's it. Thanks for watching Rubbing His Race, and we'll see you next week.